Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Yes.
I'm like, I can't believe it's here already. And we just wanted to take a moment and welcome you. We're kicking off a new series of going live and really just having opportunities for you to ask questions, for you to get immediate feedback from us. So you're going to notice a new series of these happening. But what we wanted to talk about today, I mean, considering it's the day of love, do you love your marketing? Or do you find it exhausting? Because sometimes it can be in the latter end of things.
Very true.
I remember a period of time when we were kind of going through this. We felt like everything we were doing in our business was just kind of starting to come to a grinding halt. This was back in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And we were at this point in our business where we felt like, okay, it doesn't seem to matter what we're putting out on our marketing, what kind of language we have on our website. It just didn't feel like it was connecting with our audience anymore.
Yeah.
And we were getting ready to go to a live event with a bunch of our industry peers, and learning from our peeps, yes, learning from incredible leaders in the branding and digital marketing space. And it was one of those situations where we wanted to hide because we weren't feeling confident about what was happening in our business and how we were connecting with our clients. And I remember the first night, the welcome night, we were in the lobby, but we were kind of like purposely back in a corner. This is not normal. Like, hello, if you hear me talking for 10 seconds, I'm not somebody. Gretchen might be in the corner, but I'm going to go say hi to people. But we were experiencing this time in our business where we were feeling so much shame because things weren't connecting. And I remember our mentor was coming up to us, and I'm like, oh gosh, here we go. We've been trying to avoid people. And he came up to us and he just said, ladies, I don't understand why you're not working with high-level influencers. Like you need to be working with the audience that really values everything that you're bringing to the table. And I know the love that you have for all these different businesses, but you got to be talking to the right audience and marketing to the right people, or it's not going to connect. And it was one of those things where when he said influencers and we started to think about what does that mean, like it struck a chord. How did that feel for you, Gretchen, when Brent said that to you?
That was the light bulb moment. We literally just looked at each other and we were like,
oh.
And you use the word shame, and that's an appropriate term for what we were feeling. But I wanted to point out that it wasn't shame that we were embarrassed about what we were doing.
No, not at all.
It was more about, we knew that we were at a higher level. We had the work that we were churning out was at a high level. What we were doing was at a high level. Our marketing, our expertise, we were up there, but we were not attracting the right kind of clients to maintain that. And it was hurting us financially. We were draining ourselves personally. We were running around just working our butts off,
feeling exhausted.
Yeah, exactly. Marketing was a big grind.
Yeah. And so then to have our mentor who sees us from the outside, who sees what we're capable of and knows how we work, who had privately worked with us, even though he wasn't doing that with other students, but he hired us privately to help his company with things. He came to us and he was like, you should be working with influencers. And it was just that thing we needed to hear to go, oh, that's what's not connecting. So what we did next is we immediately went back to our hotel that night after the welcome dinner and everything was done. We went up to the hotel room and we started changing everything. We went onto our website and started updating language, just simple things like anywhere that we could put in the word thought leader or influencer or speaker or author, that kind of language, we were updating that. We updated that on our social. We even started looking at what's in our portfolio and what can we start swapping out to show some of the more recent people we were working with. And I'm so glad that we took fast action on that. Yeah. Because this was on a Saturday or something. Literally 4 days later, we got an email with a connection to someone who is one of our dearest clients, Layla Ali. And we got this introductory email because somebody from the event remembered, wait, work with influencers and thought leaders. And they were originally going to connect Layla to a totally different company, to a different branding agency. They started typing in the name of that other agency and then remembered, oh, well, wait, these people specifically focus on influencers and thought leaders. And they hit that delete key. We're so grateful for the delete key on the keyboard. They hit the delete key and made the introduction. And of course, we had our own work to do of having the conversation and building the trust and showing the proof that we could come through for her as her team. But if we had not put out there who our ideal client was, if we had not taken the time to say, oh, that's that puzzle piece that was missing, we never would have had that opportunity. And I'm really curious if that's what's happening for you. If you are feeling that marketing is a grind, if you're completely exhausted and just not knowing what to get into and what content to put out there, what is a small little shift that you could be making that would really change all of that for you? You know, when we think about signs that your brand isn't pulling its weight, like what does that feel like? It feels like marketing is harder than it should be. It feels like your brand isn't doing the heavy lifting it needs to. People should be able to show up to your brand. They should be able to see you however they're getting that first introduction, whether you're speaking, whether it's on social media, whether it is on your website, and they should have that instant aha moment of, oh, this is for me. I'm a thought leader. I am somebody who's looking for a financial advisor. I am somebody who needs FDA help, right? Whatever the thing is, whatever your niche is, I'm looking for a doctor, right? They need to know right away that you serve them as an individual and that they are seen and that they are appreciated for who they are. And that gives you that chance to really make that connection. I was just going to say, I was curious, Gretchen, what your thoughts were around that.
I wanted to add that after we went and we changed the website, and we updated the social, and we did all that, we went back to the next day's event at that conference with a lot more confidence.
Oh my gosh,
had a lot of direction. We're like, okay. Suddenly, I mean, it was a light bulb moment. Everything did click. And it was like, even though all we did was go back, we probably spent maybe an hour, 2 hours tops going through, changing things. And I mean, I'm a web developer. You were doing the design at that point in time. We didn't have a big team, so we had to do stuff ourselves. And so we went back there, we just cranked through it. And the next day it was just like walking in, it's like you woke up differently. It was like, okay, I feel confident. Now I know who I serve. I put a name and I put a little more thought into it. And we just walked right into there. And it was just a completely different conference from when we showed up.
Yeah. Well, and I think that one of the pieces that was so inconsistent for us was really our messaging, because it didn't have that language of exactly who we were serving at that time. We kind of had inklings of like who we were wanting to target toward, but we had pivoted. You know, you test that, you find a niche, you test it, you go after that, and then when you decide whether or not that's the right fit, you either dial it in tighter or you have to shift a little. And so we were needing to shift, and we just couldn't figure out what that piece was that would really lock it together. And so when we did that, the messaging was the very first thing we went to. I think that's absolutely key when you are thinking about your marketing. Okay, so now when we're talking about things on social media, or if I'm getting booked on a podcast and I'm talking about who my audience is, I need to be talking about thought leaders, people like you, people who have a platform, they have a passion, they have something that they teach really well in a way that they're able to impact lives. And they need the way to take that platform to the next level. And that's exactly who we serve. So if you think about for yourself, if you're not specifically identifying who you're serving in your messaging and how you're serving them, I mean, how's anybody going to know? How are they going to connect with you, right? So I think that's one of those key areas for you to really think about when it comes to, is my brand pulling its weight or not? Why is marketing feeling so hard? And I think a lot of times this can also happen with outgrowing your audience or growing with your audience. I'm curious, Gretchen, for you, when it comes to like outgrowing an audience, when have you seen something like that happen or an audience pivot happen?
Well, Layla's a good example because
that's true.
I'm a boxer And she, you know, she even told us herself, she said, I came, you know, from this, people see me as bloody and brawling. And now I have a different audience I want to serve. And she wants to go and speak to busy moms who want to just serve healthy meals to their kids. I mean, that's a completely different audience.
Yeah, shifting into that health and wellness lifestyle space. So that's definitely another situation where it may not be that you don't know your audience, but you're at a point in your career where you're wanting to speak to a different audience. Or a lot of times what we see, maybe you already have the right ideal clients, but you want to speak to those ones that are ready to go to the next level. Like, who is that top 3% of the audience that you already serve? How do you start to have a deeper conversation with them? And that's exactly what we help our clients do. Really step back and think about, how can we go deeper? What are the things you're passionate about now? And how do you communicate that to your audience so that they can grow with you? And that's a big part of really helping your brand pull its own weight.
Yeah.
And what about when we think about the role of a strong brand? I mean, a strong brand makes selling easy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Your website, I say this all the time. People say, oh, well, our website's dead. There's social media is so popular. Absolutely not. Social media is capturing attention, but the website is where people are taking final transaction with you. And they're maybe they've seen you on social media and they're trying to learn a little bit more about what you have to offer. They can't learn all of that in a 30-second snippet, right? Well, they have to go somewhere. They have to go to that website. And your website is not a business card, my friends. Right. It should be a part of your sales team. Say it with me. Your website should be part of your sales team. It should make selling easy. It should really communicate who you serve and how you serve them, and the simple steps that people can take to get involved with you and to grow with you. Because when your brand is aligned, then clients come to you. They hear you. They're like, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by, you know, what you're saying from stage, or I'm intrigued by the soundbite that I heard on this webinar. And now I can come to the website and I can actually see how to take a next step with you, how to take that action with you. And so that's what gets them excited. Yeah.
Yeah. And when we started working with Layla shortly after that, one of the things she said to us was, that she had come to our website to check us out. Of course, as soon as we, you know, responded to the message, she's like, okay, who are these people? What are they? And guess what? We had already updated our website that few days before, and it reflected the influencers that we had been working with, and it reflected, you know, that audience. And so she came and she looked and she saw the updated things in our portfolio. She was seeing the current messaging, which was talking about the influencers and the thought leaders. And she felt confident to respond back and say, okay, let's meet. So that there's a good example right there of what that can do for you.
Yeah. And that's one of those, like, I would call it a God moment. That's one of those moments where you just go, okay, somebody teed up the softball. We got to knock it out of the park. Like, it was just, for me, it was divine timing. Like, okay, Lord, that couldn't have come together any better. But let's say that's not what you're running into. It's not this instant moment of someone connecting and helping you move to the next level. It's that consistency. It's showing up with keeping that message the same across every channel that you are part of, and using that as a way for people to get to know you, to get to grow with you and to grow with your brand, and to simplify your marketing, because now you're saying the same thing everywhere instead of disjointed things here and there. And that's what really has clients coming to you instead of you having to chase them. And you know, chasing is exhausting, and people feel that. They feel when there is a chase in what you're doing, and it doesn't feel good unless you've invited someone to play tag with you. That's a whole other story. but if you're chasing, then that doesn't feel right, you know, and people can't take the action with you that they want to take. So if you can step back and let your brand be strong, let your brand be unstoppable, and really put the right message out there, it just weaves it all together for you. And, you know, I think that's why people get burnt out so easily when their brand is misaligned. You know, if we think about a poorly aligned brand, it means that you have to work twice as hard for half the payoff, for half the impact.
That's what we were doing. We were working twice as hard on our marketing and feeling, that's why we were going to that conference feeling all down and out. We're like, we are busting our butts here and nothing's happening.
Well, and it's hard when you are in that situation for us in particular, which I'm sure a lot of you can identify with. When you are known in a community already for being people who stand up, who do the work, who go hard, we had made a lot of traction in our business up until that point, up until 2018. We've had some massive shifts prior to that. We were kind of people that other companies looked up to within our group.
Spotlight was on us, to be fair. That's a
yeah. And so then when you're in that situation, then you feel like you've let yourself down, you've let these other people down when you hit those walls. I think that's also a great case for why you need to be in a group with other people to remind you of where you're going and what you're doing, and to point out the things that you can't see for yourself. That's why that's so important.
Very true.
But it's like it just was one of those situations where, we were just feeling so down, but then we got to come back and be re-energized and go, okay, this is where the brand was misaligned. Now let's go to the chiropractor. Let's get that into alignment. And what can start happening for you? It may not happen immediately, but you're going to start to notice it. You're going to notice how writing content feels easier. You're going to notice how putting out videos feels easier, how sales conversations flow so much smoother with your clients when you know who you are and what you stand for. And it's inner work, and nobody really wants to think about that part. We want to just talk about the business tactics and all of that. That's a part of it. But that doesn't happen until your mind shifts. So you have to find that spark, that thing. For us, it was the thought leaders and the influencers, that thing that went, yes, that is right. That's who we want to support. And that really will help you lock those things into place. And it's kind of like, when you're doing all these different things and you're just spinning around in circles. Have you guys ever had your GPS on in a really congested city like LA or Dallas?
Chicago.
And Chicago, it's like it's pinging off too many towers. There's all these buildings in the way, and the GPS loses the signal. It can't keep up with you. You're doing too much. Mm-hmm. You got to slow down and let it recalibrate. And when you give yourself that opportunity to recalibrate, then your mind recalibrates, your messaging recalibrates, your brand recalibrates. All of a sudden, that starts to add up to you feeling that momentum and to having that unstoppable brand. I think that's a big thing that a lot of people run into. Gretchen, is there anything else that you would have to say about when marketing feels exhausting and what you would want to do differently to fix that?
I would point out that if you have a team and your team is starting to feel burned out about, if they're not excited about your marketing, if they're not excited about writing that next email or launching that next virtual event, or even just putting out a social post, if there's no excitement behind that, then you might want to check and see, is your marketing, is it a struggle for your team because something's misaligned? It's all about clarity. If there's clarity in your brand and you know who you are, who you're doing it for, how you're doing it, then the marketing part again becomes easy because everything is clear. The messaging is clear, the visuals are clear, your target audience is clear, everything just is in alignment. And if you're burning your team out through marketing, that's a clear sign that there's something not right there.
Yes. And it's not a situation to beat yourself up over.
No.
It's a situation to go, oh, okay, that's it. That's what we've got to do. We just have to realign. Yeah, it's growing pains. It absolutely is. And this will happen no matter how big and bold and beautiful your brand is, right? Like you're going to hit this every couple of years because too much changes in the world. Language changes, how you change, your growth, what you're interested in. So this shouldn't ever be seen as something that makes you feel less than. This should just be like, oh, that means I'm ready to level up.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Take a look at any major brand out there that's been in business for say 20, 30 years. Go look at their brand now and then go find what their brand looked like 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Not the same.
It's not the same. Yeah.
And I don't visually, I mean, look at the messaging, look at the team, look at their values. Things change.
Yeah. I think, a really simple first step that you can take if your marketing feels exhausting, if you feel like you're just running in circles, is give yourself a chance to step back and get in sync with what you are passionate about doing. I want you to start there first. Like, what do you really enjoy doing? Where do you feel like you are putting your best heart and mind to work? And when you can nail that down and figure out what you're passionate about first, then it's time for you to resync with your clients. Like, who are those ideal clients? Who are the ones that you're already serving that you absolutely love, that you want 500,000 of, right? Or 10 of, or whatever your volume is? Who are those clients that you love and you want to duplicate? And then let's think about, how can we speak more specifically to them? What is it that they are struggling with every day? Start putting that in your marketing. Start talking about the pain points that they're dealing with and what they're facing day to day. And all of a sudden, you're going to notice that whole conversation's going to shift. They're going to start coming to you and asking those questions and allowing you to level up. And guess what? It has this beautiful ripple effect. You get to level up. They get to level up. The people they serve get to level up. I think that's one of my favorite things about helping the clients that we help, is just like, wow, that impact multiplies. And it's such a cool thing. And I think it goes back to that idea of having that unstoppable brand.
Yep.
So, if you're in that place where you're struggling and you're just not sure, like, how is my brand even doing? How do I know where I'm at? And is my brand unstoppable? We have a quiz that you can take. And Gretchen, if you'll share that link right now, this quiz is completely free for you to take. And it's really the first step for you to figure out if your brand is pulling its weight, or if it's holding you back. So this will give you not only questions to evaluate where you're at, but it's also going to give you recommendations on next steps. Yep. It's going to give you clarity around what is working and what's not working, where you have room to tighten things up and to shift your language like we did, right? So it's going to help you make that marketing more effective and more natural. So if you're ready to stop having marketing friction, go there right now, leftrightlabs.com/quiz. Take that, and you're going to be really amazed with finding out where you're at and how simple and straightforward those next steps can be for you. So if you have questions, if there are things that you're like, oh gosh, I wish Left Right Labs would tell me the secrets around this, post those in the comments. If you would like and subscribe, follow us so that we can keep in touch with you and make sure that what we're putting out there is valuable for you. And I want you to go ahead and just share a celebration emoji if you are ready to take your brand to the next big breakthrough. So stop and think about it. Are you ready to build an unstoppable brand? Because it's time to elevate your authority so that you can scale with ease. I'm Trina.
And I'm Gretchen.
We're Left Right Labs, and we can't wait to connect with you again. Bye-bye.
Bye.